Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
Well, thank you for pointing that out, Trucker Hershey. We've got sound now. Sound good. Okay, just let me know. Thank you, Ogre. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, everyone. Sound is on. Okay, there we are. It is the Friday free for all. Not only is it free for all, it is live for all. I missed last night. Doctors, fortunately, were mistaken. Do not have appendicitis. Woo! That's a good one to not have to have. Anyways, there's a lot to talk about. This week has been incredibly difficult and painful to get through because of the misinformation, the lies, the misdirection, the propaganda, and the anti-American stupidity coming out of all sectors of the world. I'm going to share with you what I like to call facts. Facts. Lots of that. Hey there, everybody, Nancy, and okay, all good. I've got facts, and I'm going to share with you facts. If you guys want to put your comments, your thoughts into the comment section, then I will definitely try and post them. No Uman yet. He's trying to get off work. He might make it. Not too sure. Been busy for everybody. But there's a topic that I don't have anything written down for, but it has to do with Senator Ted Cruz. In fact, I just might have something on him. But I'm going to do and talk about someone to start the show off who is much more important, much more powerful, much more influential than Senator Ted Cruz, and that is the president himself. The president himself. And I'm not talking about Trump. Uman is now entered the building. All right, Mr. Uman, I'm glad you're there, brother. Very good. I'm going to start off. It is the Friday free for all. And so what I'm going to ask everybody is be on your best behavior because Mr. Blue Wrench is back. Anyways, comments in there because we're going to go back and forth shotgun style. Unless Uman just waves me off and says, dude, keep going. You got this. You guys know I could talk for hours on end if needed, but I want to know what you're thinking. What have you seen this week? So I told you, Senator Teddy Butt Pirate Cruz is powerful, but he's not as powerful as the president. But the president I'm talking about is not Trump. It is Ron Lauder, president of the, quote, World Jewish Congress. You know what he says? Let me tell you what he has to say. He thinks Israel should have a greater influence on social media so they can retrain younger generations about Israel. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Really? You want to retrain? There's no retraining. It's called indoctrination. It's called propaganda. It's called punishing people who want to think differently. So, how about we let our youth think for themselves? Let them look at the world and decide for themselves, Mr. Israel asshole. No more indoctrination, no more mind control, no more guilt. And as Pink Floyd so aptly sang, hey, leave us kids alone. So the president says anyone running for the United States government, that means House of Representatives, Senator, President of the United States, the president of the World Jewish Congress says anyone running for United States government who is anti-Zionist will be targeted and defeated in elections. Interesting choice of words. Someone who's anti-Zionist, not anti-Israel, not anti-Jew, not anti-Semite, anti-Zionist. And let that sink in. Because Zionism is tied to Chabad Lubavitch, a very extremist sect within Israel. Okay, let us continue here. Targeted. You're going to target the president? You're going to target senator? You're going to target, huh? Huh, Mr. Louder? This, according to the World Jewish Congress, is being described as the, quote, fight for their lives, and says this. Well, here's the actual quote. We cannot sit by and let anti-Zionists determine our future. Well, I'll tell you what, Zionists, leave America. Right? We're not determining your future. You are. If you don't like us looking at you, understanding you, listening to you, and taking out your fucking word, then you're free to leave. But we're not going to do anything to you except expose you, point out what you're saying. I mean, how about this as a quote? Instead of saying we cannot sit by and let anti-Zionists determine our future, as Americans, we might say this, quote, white people, black people, Hispanic people, Asian people, European descendants, moral and civilized people, we cannot sit by and let anti-white, anti-black, anti-Hispanic, anti-Asian, anti-freedom, anti-civilized, genocidal Zionists determine our future. I didn't start this shit. They did. Their stated beliefs are that all white people need to be exterminated. Sounds kind of enemy-ish of the United States, does it not? Sounds kind of anti-freedom, does it not? To tell us that, we can't be allowed to be here. Anyways, if the Chabad Lubavitch Zionist a-holes can't protect, or if they can protect Zionism in the United States, and then claim they should both kill us, which they do, there's a lot of these rabbis out there saying we need to exterminate white people, which means exterminate black people, Asian people, Hispanic people, anyone they don't like. The problem with white people is we are a majority in America and Europe and many other places. Even though we're only 7% of the world's population, we still represent in the civilized world, or first world, if you will, the superpower world, a significant population that if they, the Zionists, can destroy, kill us as they want, guess what? Guess what? They get to run and own the world. The only thing standing between the world and Zionist oppression, dominance, and slavery of everyone is civilized white nations. Now, yeah, they want to bring race into it. I'm into it. Right? If they claim, right, that they need to protect themselves and then claim that they should both kill us and indoctrinate the youths to be their slaves, then I think we can, without calling for violence, I think we can oppose the Zionist Talmudic Chabad Lubavitch group and expose them, embarrass them, reveal them with their own words, folks, and recommend they leave our nation if they want, forever, and they won't be missed. And they can go wherever they want because, well, they want to rape women and men, of course, kill children the way they do in Israel. Yeah, we've seen it now because that's what they allow in Israel, and that's what they want across the whole planet because they claim to be the chosen people, chosen of God's. Here on out, they are the Chosenites. Fuck. Now, an idiot demagogue on MS Now. The host is Katie Turr, and she is now trying to connect the Michigan synagogue attack to right-wing Republicans, meaning white Christian conservatives. Well, she's an idiot. It didn't work. And we'll talk about why. But just 2 months ago, did you know that law enforcement did an active shooting drill at the very synagogue in Michigan that this event happened at? Surprised? It's a pattern, isn't it? They're going to do a drill for active shooter, school shooter, mall shooter, and a lot of times they go live. Well, we can't have the Chosenites getting shot in an active thing, but hey, this is a pattern. And pattern recognition is not conspiracy theory. It's a sign of intelligent thought processes. How many times have we heard of anti-Semitic graffiti and property damage being done to turn out to be done by the Jewish business or homeowner themselves, trying to create a victim mentality? Well, due to Americans waking up to the genocide of Palestinian children and the Palestinian population in general, not to mention the city that's been flattened, Bibi Netanyahu and his religious group, the Chosenites, are turning up the accusations of anti-Semitism everywhere, especially against Christian Americans, the Republicans. To complete the headline, it should actually read, Michigan synagogue attacker is from Lebanon. The guy's name is Ayman Mohammed Ghazali. Sounds pretty white Republican to me. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Thank you for showing up, Mr. Uman. Glad you're here, man. It is the Friday free-for-all, folks. Uman, you can let me know when you think we've got some good stuff coming out of the audience. All up to you. Dangerous freedoms, I agree with you on that particular topic you just brought up. Let's do this. I want to bring up the possible threat. Okay, that's what Dangerous Freedom wrote. Both Islam and Judaism, Talmudic Judaism, are incompatible with the West. I'm sick of both. And folks, I don't want to just let a statement like that just stand as is. You see, both those religions believe that we, Americans, Westerners, Christians, should be their slaves or their sex slaves. We should either be killed or treated like cattle, and being killed at any time is no problem. We can be tricked, we can be robbed, we can even be raped by them. And it's perfectly fine within the tenets of their religious beliefs, which is why they are incompatible with the civilization under which Christianity has blossomed. Now, we have had quite a bit pop up. Thank you, Mr. Uman, very much for putting up Dangerous Freedom's comment. We have an issue with a possible West Coast terror attack coming. Now, the possible threat we've told about versus the conspiracy theory of Iran strikes on U.S. homeland. Let's get into this one just a little bit, huh? The Federal Bureau of Investigation, not Iran. The FBI is saying that there is a threat of an Iranian drone attack hitting somewhere on the West Coast. Interestingly, Larry Silverstein, the former owner of the Twin Towers, which fell down on 9/11, he now owns a very tall, very big, very expensive building right downtown in L.A. So be very careful on the West Coast. Larry, all right, I hear you, Mr. Uman. Very good. Star up whoever you think is worthy. Back to Larry Silverstein. About 2 months before 2 months before 9/11, he bought some very, very, very large insurance policies for the Twin Towers, the World Trade Center buildings, and they just happened to get knocked all the way to the ground. It was multiple billions of dollars. Interesting. When I get done reading what I've got here and pointing out things, I'd like to have C pop up on the screen. So be very careful if you're in LA or San Francisco. Woo! Okay, let's do this. Continuing. Several months ago, I thought it was just in the last few days. Turns out, I think it was back in November. 4 U.S. weaponized drones were stolen off of a U.S. Army base, Fort Campbell. And but it was just reported a couple days ago. And the Army is just now putting out a picture with two guys walking in a room. And that's supposed to be enough for us to point out who they are. And months and months and months and months later, it's supposed to help us capture them, recover the 4 stolen drones. By the way, the drones that are stolen, we are told, are replicas of Iran's drones that are weaponized. Why the fuck would the United States of America need to have copies, duplicates of Iranian weaponized drones? Why? So we can use them and blame Iran? Well, these weaponized drones have now been stolen months ago, and they could be deployed anywhere, not just the West Coast, anywhere. But maybe they're going to hit LA. Maybe they're going to hit San Francisco. Maybe they're going to hit SeaTac, Seattle. And maybe, who knows, right? Very interesting stuff, folks. But funny, when it comes to stealing flying explosive drones, I seem to recall that serious ordnance, like drones, tactical nukes, surface-to-air missiles, Tomahawk, stuff like that. I thought that serious ordnance on military bases was guarded very seriously. Buildings secured behind gates with armed guards, and the building is more like a bank vault than a storage shack. How convenient that we have a threat on the West Coast. Larry is in town in Los Angeles. There are missing Iranian duplicated drones, and there's a need for U.S. support. Boots on the ground in Iran. Surprise, false flag potential is needed and possible, folks. Now that we have all of these elements set up and the U.S. government, Washington, D.C., is not doing well against Iran, and they need general population support in America for sending our troops into a foreign country to attack them. What better excuse than, oh my God, they drone bombed one of our buildings. But don't forget, folks, even after 9/11, it took a couple of years of propaganda, lies, false information, bullshit, and congressional hearings in front of the whole world to get a coalition together to go after Iraq and Afghanistan. The way things seem to be going with Washington, D.C. currently is they just do whatever the fuck they want. The end game is upon us, folks. Question, are you prepared? All right, Mr. Uman, what did C have to say about this whole threat on the West Coast? Several people are talking about the Golden Gate Bridge. The Golden Gate Bridge being a topic or a target, rather. It is a uniquely American, iconic bridge. It is, by the way, outdated. It is too small. It restricts traffic horribly. In fact, the entire, shall I say, north end of San Francisco is a fucking bottleneck like you can't believe. But everyone up in Marin County who comes down from the north to enter San Francisco on a daily basis, I'm sure they would love maybe a much larger bridge. I know, Golden Gate Bridge. It's the golden era with Mr. Trump in office. Wouldn't it be grand if we got a new golden Trump bridge? And the Golden Gate is actually painted a pretty, I'm going to use the word ugly. It's an ugly color of orange. It is not gold. But yeah, we have trouble, folks. Lots of trouble. I think the enemies of freedom are not the same as the enemies of Washington, D.C. I think it's a little bit different than what they make it out to be. In fact, I've seen some posts on social media that the Iranians have explained that when they say death to America, they don't mean death to Americans like us. What they mean is death to the American government, the death to the Washington, D.C. power elite, the Washington, D.C. political regime. That's who they're swearing death to. Woo! I tell you, folks, the masks are coming off, by the way. The masks are coming off about the Israelis in Israel, the Israelis at war, and the Israelis here in the United States of America. We're starting to see people stand up for their belief systems rather than lying to us and pretending to be, well, Americans. And whether they're American or not, the allegiance can only be to one country. As stated in the old Bible Ruski, a house divided against itself cannot stand. You either stand for America first, or you stand for Israel first, or any other country. But you can't stand for Somalia and America. No, it's Somalia first, Somalia only. Right, Ilhan Omar? And same with all of the other radical Muslim freaks in government, in D.C., in state government, and in city governments. The masks are off. And this is interesting because everyone is revealing who they are. I want freedom, liberty. I want the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness to exist for everyone in America who is an American. But that does not include people that want death to America, death to blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians, and anyone else. I don't want slavery for the elite Chosenites and you know, they get slavery of all of us, meaning that I don't want that, right? Equality. It's part of our system. Well, here is an Israeli explaining what he thinks, and he is masqueraded as an American for years, but the mask started coming off a few years ago, and I've watched and listened and read him very closely, but it is all the way off now, and this is Mr. Wayne Root. This is what he thinks. Quote, "It's time to say it out loud. 1, it's open season on Jews in America. 2, Jews need to carry a gun at all times. 3, President Trump needs to pass this executive order. And 4, yes, I'm calling out Tucker and Candace." This is quite interesting. It's not open season on Jews. If it was open season on Jews, there would be thousands of dead Jews everywhere, just like it really was open season in Gaza on terrorists. Fine with that. Men, not fine with that. Women, not fine with that. Children, not fine with that. That's open season when you end up with 500,000 to 1 million murdered fucking people and a city flattened. That's open season. We don't have open season on Jews. Wayne stupidly and also dangerously is fear-mongering. He's playing the biggest victim card in the world, which is the typical game played by Israelis. Oh, the Holocaust. He's fishing for sympathy where none is needed or deserved. Nobody is hunting. Nobody is killing the Jews. While it has become 100% clear that Jewish authors and Jewish media pundits everywhere have been writing and conducting interviews with one another, gleefully, folks, gleefully talking about the extermination of the white race. And they're doing it with impunity. No one criticizes them except, well, Americans. And they're doing it with self-righteousness. Whites haven't called for retaliation, by the way. We haven't called for violence or anything of the sort for this blatant anti-white, anti-civilization, racist bullshit from the Chosenites. Now, number 2, the comment coming from Wayne Root, Jews need to carry guns at all times. Of course, if they're Americans, it's a constitutional right, isn't it? And it shouldn't be denied them any more than denied anyone else, because we're all supposed to be equal, right? Well, remember this, Wayne, except in many states, those states don't honor their oaths nor honor the Constitution. So be careful out there, Jews, where you carry your guns. But perhaps the Chosenites will get special privileges where the rest of America doesn't. Hopefully the armed Chosenites don't start gunfights with Americans over their manufactured events. For example, them spraying swastikas on their own businesses for sympathy and then standing around threatening people with their loaded weapons. That could be a mistake. There's a chesty puller comment out there. Maybe we'll get to that. President Trump, number 3. President Trump needs to pass an executive order. Well, I read the whole article and I could not find it, Wayne. He doesn't describe what the executive order is in this article, but I suspect it's pro-Jewish and punish anti-Semitic free speech. They are now talking openly. The Chosenites, the Chabad Lubavitch, the Zionist Talmudic Israelites. They're not Israelites, sorry, Israelis. Difference. Israelites are God's chosen people. Israelis are a secular state, and I can criticize the fuck out of them anytime I want. I can even lie about them if I want, but I don't have to. And I'll tell you why. I don't have to lie about the Israelis or Chabad Lubavitch or the Zionists or the Talmudic Jews. I'll tell you why I don't have to lie. Because what they're saying, my friends, my fellow Americans, what they're saying is far worse than anything I would have ever thought to try and attribute to some group just so I could not like them. They're that fucking bad. Now, understand, always when it comes down to it, people like Wayne Root, Ben Shapiro, and of course the great Mark Levin, they have become now Israel first, Israel only, Israel all the time, and fuck the Goyim, and fuck their constitutional rights. Or, as I like to hear them, when I hear them say anything, I also hear, we should eat them. Because, we're cattle. Now, this last one was ridiculous on his part. Calling out Tucker and Candace Owens, right? Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, calling out Tucker and Candace? That's his bag. He is pointing at American media that does not mindlessly repeat the Israelis' approved messages of servitude from the Chosenites to us. That's his bag. He doesn't like that they're not mindlessly repeating their talking points. Why isn't Wayne Root talking about terrorist Muslims who have threatened to destroy Israel and Tel Aviv, and they want to kill the Jews, right? Why isn't Wayne Root talking about them instead of talking about Tucker and Candace? Because Tucker and Candace are not threatening to kill Jews or destroy Israel. What they are doing is exposing evil using their own words, their own actions, their own communications in the Epstein files. It's funny. In America, Israelis don't say shit about Muslims wanting them dead as much as they resent America's unadulterated free speech. Their hatred of white Americans, black Americans, Hispanic Americans, and of course, European descendants. Goyim. And they are absolutely and absurdly terrified. Well, I guess they have good cause. They're terrified of Chabad Lubavitch, Zionists, and their satanic evil being exposed. They're terrified of it being explained to the world. So the world would wake up to this bullshit religious nightmare of Israel being shoved down our throats by a government being paid off by billionaires so they can have their Antichrist Messiah in Israel, and they can have us all as, well, slaves, sex toys, or as their food, right? Folks, I think if you've kept up, if you've paid attention, if you've really studied this, we all know and accept that all Jewish people are not evil. Let me repeat that. We all should know, I know I do, and I accept that all Jewish people are not evil. They're not all Zionist, Talmudic, hate-filled people. Nor do these Jewish people think of all other peoples around the world as slaves. But there are many, and I suppose Wayne counts himself as one of them, that thinks Jews or Israelis are like the Hitler Superman, and that they're superior to everyone else on the planet, that they have extra constitutional rights, and we need our rights stripped from us so that they can feel safe from another Holocaust. Well, it's this Chabad Lubavitch attitude of superiority and this call for obliterating white people and white culture that is going to become a Holocaust for real if it's not exposed and it's not stopped. Now, why am I, John, a regular American, sounding this alarm, raising these questions, asking for explanations, and calling on people to wake up to the reality that's closing in on us? Well, because someone has to, and there's lots of other people. I'm not claiming to be the only one. But look, ignoring an enemy, calling for our imprisonment or death, is the surest way to encourage that enemy to do exactly what they're threatening. Do not ignore a threat. It doesn't go away. Pulling the bed sheets over your head doesn't make the monster leave the room. Do not ignore a threat. Learn what the threat means. Learn their intent. Take action to protect yourself by becoming a prepper. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and of course your own means of self-defense. I'm not calling for stripping anyone, any American, of their rights, nor am I calling for violence against anyone. I'm not calling for any violence. But I need you to understand what happened in Russia before they became the Soviet Union and then shortly thereafter. I'll get right back to that in a second. I'm not calling for stripping anyone of their rights as long as they're Americans. I'm not calling for violence. But I would like anyone who is un-American to be deported or exiled out of this fucking country. Now, if you listen carefully, that's exactly what the bad guys want. They want our rights stripped. They want us scared and defenseless. They want us in prison. And they've stated that again and again, that they want all whites executed, eradicated, genocided, removed from the planet forever. Learn who them is. Learn who they are. And learn why it is they who are demanding our destruction. This rabbit hole, folks, is real. And it's very old, and it is extremely deep. Now, this call to take our First Amendment rights, free speech, freedom of press, freedom to gather, to say whatever the fuck we want, is critical. It's critical for the World Jewish Congress and people like Wayne Root and Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro. It is critical for them to strip it from us. There's also a guy named Shlomo who's been on the news, who's called for our First Amendment speech to be curtailed. That's why Hillary Clinton, a servant of these fucking people, said, free speech is not absolute. Actually, bitch, it is. Except for a very few instances, like no screaming fire in a crowded room when there's no fire. I'm going to tell you why they need to strip free speech. There's a group of people who did a revolution in Russia. They took power. They got control of the country. The first thing they did was made it illegal. Follow me here. Illegal to criticize Jewish people or say anything about Jewish people, period. And if you did, it was a crime, which carried with it the death penalty. Or they would ship you off to the gulag, the prisons out in Siberia. Now, Why is that so critical? Why is that so important? Because people became afraid of them, scared of them, and they shut up. And then what followed that was the Holocaust, where approximately 50 to 60 million Christians were killed. Part of the Holocaust was called the Holodomor. It had to do with Christians being killed in Ukraine over food. They were starved to death. People were starved to death by the Bolshevik communist regime in Russia. The very first thing they do is silence criticism, criminalize free speech, stop people from meeting and getting together, which is the very thing that the Bolsheviks used, meeting, talking, sharing their ideas, building a communist, shall we say, solidarity amongst themselves, and then attacking and destroying and murdering everyone in power. But then they wanted to protect themselves. If they do that here in America, like they're doing it in Britain and Europe and Canada and Australia, if they silence you, they can do whatever they want. Now, in Russia, as described, they took over the country. They killed the Tsar, his wife, the Tsarina. All of the royal family were absolutely assassinated in cold blood and bayoneted, even the daughters, bayonets, which are long, pointy knives on the end of a rifle, bayoneted to death. So then they controlled the government. The bad guys, them, they do not have to bayonet the Trump family. They do not have to attack and burn Congress to the ground to control this country. Why not? Let me tell you, my friends, because they've already bought and paid for them. They've already bought and paid for them. Alan Meyer Jensen, yes, they starved the people in the Holodomor. Dead, yeah. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate you being here. Now, once again, if they own the presidency, if they own Congress, if they own the bureaucracy, if they own the FBI, the Department of Justice, the Attorney General's office, if they own the government, they don't have to kill everyone in government. They can just have our government pass laws, executive orders, stripping us of our free speech, and it looks peaceful. It's just a law, you bunch of racist people out there who love freedom. You see, that's their back door. That's their back door, folks. All right, let's do this. I've been blabbing quite a bit all on my own. Let's see who's out there. What do we want to talk about? Mr. Uman, glad to have you back, brother. And we got Robin who says, John, being that we are neck deep in this Iran conflict, what would it take, military speaking, to see this scrimmage wrapped up so we can get the heck out and stay out? Well, this is interesting. I've read, and I don't know if it's actually true or not, that Iran, in order for them to stop fighting, to open up the Hormuz Strait, the Strait of Hormuz, they want all kinds of concessions and admissions on the part of the United States government. They want these admissions that, it was wrong, Israel's bad, they want Netanyahu out of power, they want all kinds of promises and concessions, they want to be paid back for all the destruction, they want a written apology, they want a public apology, they want treaties, they want all kinds of stuff. But realistically, I know that is never going to happen. And it's never going to happen that Israel backs up. But being realistic, if the United States of America were to stop attacking Iran, and likewise, as is likely going to be our future, all of the Middle Eastern states there, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, all of these countries, if the United States leaves their military bases, if the United States leaves the region altogether, there's a good chance that they would allow shipping to go back in through the Strait of Hormuz. right? What they're pissed about is the fact that, the United States is Israel's lapdog or their attack dog. So if the U.S. got the hell out of there, there's a good chance. There's a very good chance that Iran would leave us the hell alone. We just have to leave them the hell alone. Now, with respect to getting oil from the Middle East to America, they can go around the Horn of Africa. They can go around Africa, or they could sail, literally, they could sail east through the Indian Ocean, past Australia, and over to the west coast of America with the oil. We have alternatives. It's just that Strait of Hormuz is a shortcut and it reduces costs. This is what I think we could do. It's interesting you call it a scrimmage. And I know why you call it a scrimmage, because it's not boots on the ground. It's not men facing each other and killing each other in the old-fashioned and very personal way of war. And it's a scrimmage compared to the ultimate nightmare, which is nuclear annihilation of countries involved. I don't know if the United States can leave the area and leave Israel to its own devices, because I think Israel has let the whole world know they have their Samson option, which means if they feel attacked and an existential threat coming from anyone and anywhere, that they'll just launch all of their nuclear weapons at all of their enemies that are targeted. That would be a mess, would it not? Anyways, Robin, it's a great question. How do we get out of this without losing everything? Everything. Thank you very much. Let's do this. Something really interesting. There's some interesting comments out there from people I'm not familiar with, but Uman's in charge. Because it's opened up to the public, we also are accepting super chats. Father No asked an interesting question. It just popped up. And then Richard Nagel, that's Jiminy Crickets. You guys are bringing up some great topics. Can we talk about the Marines that are en route to the Middle East? Let's put that up there if we can. Normally, Mr. Uman, I don't follow the comments because it's so distracting. So Father No says, John, will you go back to the Marines during World War III to help with the war effort? The answer is no. One, I'm too fucking old. And I don't have a healthy respect for anyone who outranks me, which would be just about everyone in the military. I don't have a healthy respect for stupidity and for people who just follow orders. I had a problem with that when I was in. What I would do and what I plan on doing is protecting the homeland, protecting the United States of America, protecting the state of Florida, which is my state, to which I owe allegiance now at this point. That's just how that really works in American jurisprudence. I would defend my state and defend my people against all enemies, foreign and domestic, from this position. I don't plan on going overseas and commanding or joining troops in the field. I believe that American interests are best served now at cleaning the enemies out of this country. And there are plenty of enemies within the United States of America's domestic borders, as well as the individual states. And I think I've made my case pretty clear for there. I will not fight for banksters. I will not fight for pedophiles. I will not fight for Satanists. I will not fight for another country and its expansionist desires around the world. And I think that's why so many service members in all branches are very upset. They see what's going on as their lives are being expended, put at risk in order to satisfy the expansionist desires of the Israeli state, which wants to become a super state by acquiring land, their greater Israel project. Greater Israel project. Now, We got some interesting shit going on. Thank you very much, Father No. Mr. Uman, I'm going to talk about the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent. He was doing an interview, a live interview. And he was called out of that interview. He was pulled out of it. He was told, hey, the White House needs you immediately. So apparently he went to the Situation Room, had a meeting, and then he returned. But when he returned to his mainstream media interview, he returned stuttering. He was shaking his head no while trying to answer questions positively. Yes, we're doing fine. There's no problems. Everything's great, yada, yada, yada. It was quite telling. And Scott Bessent is a rather well-spoken character, but he was visibly trembling. So I don't know. I'm going to put it to you. Any guesses as to why he would be shaken to his core that way? Well, I read about this. I heard about this. Scott Bessent fall from his lofty perch and his, shall we say, egalitarian worldview. Because I saw a video of Benjamin Netanyahu, who seems to be addressing the world in the United States of America as if he's the president. But something was pointed out. Why, in his speech, did Benjamin King Bibi Netanyahu on his right hand at times have 6 fingers? 6 fingers. Well, I don't think that he is an offspring of the Nephilim, but who knows? Maybe he is. I don't know. Is he is Bibi Netanyahu, is he a reptilian, and that he's so upset over what's going on that he started losing his ability to camouflage as a, near normal human being, and so he started showing his 6 fingers, which the giants, the offspring of the Nephilim, had 6 fingers, 6 toes, double rows of teeth, and a belief that they were superior to all of humanity, and used them, humans, regular humans, as food to feed themselves, to gorge themselves upon. Oh yeah, very interesting. Litin Cell says, that's a nice comment about your military service and responsibility at this time. Thanks, John. You're welcome. I don't, at age 56, I'm older than most sergeant majors. Thank you, Mr. Uman, for that. I had a hard time in the service following unlawful orders and stupid orders. Lizard people. Yeah, he's a lizard people. Lizard people comes, the reptilians, lizard people from this little funny fish here from the Y-Files. Anyways, Uman got this for me as a joke. But yeah, we're starting to see a lot of things become true. I wonder if lizard people is one of them. Anyways, crazy business going on. Mr. Uman, what does the crowd want to talk about out there? What do we got? We've got about 10 minutes left in the show on this Friday night live. And I will be back Sunday night live. As Chesty Puller said, we're surrounded. Good. Being surrounded greatly simplifies things. That's right. No matter what direction you fight in, there's the enemy. We got them right where we want them. Yes, there it is. There it is. Chesty Puller, one of the meanest fucking Marines ever to live. I mean, you had Dan Daly, another great United States Marine. Chesty Puller was just a mean son of a bitch. He defeating America's enemies was what he did. Defending America is what he did. Yeah, I believe the only 2 Marines ever to get Two, not one, but two Congressional Medals of Honor were Marine Corps General Smedley Butler and enlisted man Dan Daly. After those two guys got two, they decided you only get one. So Chesty Puller only got one Congressional Medal of Honor, but highly, highly decorated folks. Some of these guys were incredible. They would say stupid shit like that. Great. We're surrounded. We got them right where we want them. That greatly simplifies things. Anyways, that's the fighting attitude. But it was always reserved for the enemies of America, not for our own people, not against our Constitution, but rather in defense of it. There's other great quotes about Marines and soldiers, the Army, fighting their way out of just awful situations. One of them is the Korean War, also known as the Korean Conflict, where the United States Marines and the U.S. Army fought together and did what is known as a fighting retreat out of the Chosin Reservoir at a time when it was like 50 degrees below zero. Their guns wouldn't operate, so they had to wipe all the lubricant off. They still wouldn't operate. They froze, so they had to piss on their own weapons, literally piss on them to unfreeze them. And it was called a fighting retreat because whether they went north towards China, they had to fight. And if they went south towards South Korea, they had to fight their way out. Incredible shit. And Chesty Puller was there for that. Sorry about that. I get a little bit nostalgic for fighting one's enemies. Right now, who is my enemy? My enemy is everyone in the world, domestic and foreign, that hates our U.S. Constitution, which I swore to uphold and defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic, the enemies of the American people. I'm sorry. I read comments. I shouldn't do that. Dang it. I'll leave that to Mr. Uman. Okay. Otherwise, I get all tied up in that in reading the comments. That's why we need you back, Oliver. All right. What do we have next? Who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? Friday night free for all live. We've got Crackshot says General Wesley Clark. Here we go. Oh, by the way, I need a drink. This is a Yeti full of a very potent batch of Screwdriver. Oh, yeah. Orange juice and vodka. General Wesley Clark, quote, he stated the memo described how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq, then Syria, then Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran. Well, they've knocked over Syria. They're now attacking Lebanon. Israel is. Somalia is an ugly animal that Israel does not have control over. Sudan, I haven't paid any attention to, but because of Iran, they did knock over Libya. They killed Muammar Gaddafi and destroyed that country, which was paying for its own way, folks. The United States of America did not send billions of dollars a year to Libya. They had oil. They sold their oil, and they paid for everything for the Libyan people free that they could get. That's all been ruined. And now in Libya, guess what they're doing? They have an open slave market in Libya. They're just selling North Africans. They're selling sub-Saharan Africans. That would be blacks, Arabs, people that are smuggled there from other countries. So South America, Central America, North America, probably slaves out of Asia. It's a fucking mess. They turned a moderate country that was trying to modernize itself into a third world shithole that now has an open slave market where you can buy men, women, and children. You can buy white, Arab, black, Asian, anyone. There's more slavery around the world now than there was, 150, 200, 300 years ago. All right, let's continue if we shall. Thank you, Crackshot. Appreciate that information. Mr. Uman, I've got just a few topics on my board, but hey, I want to know what the crowd's thinking. We got a few minutes left. Let's do it. We got Pure Blood for Life. It says, force these Stone Age-minded, blood-feuding children of Satan back to Israel and back to the Middle East. I agree. I absolutely agree, folks. I've studied. There's a really interesting channel. It's called Middle East Mysteries of the Middle East, or Middle East Mysteries, and it's a channel that's created by people that sound like they're from the Middle East. The accent is Middle East. They're in English, but they talk a lot about folklore. They talk a lot about the history, the religious beliefs, and the, shall we say, ungodly practices of their magicians and necromancers. They talk about the jinn. They talk about these gods of the Middle East. And they all sound very awful. Right? These people are practicing evil when they call for the death of everyone else and the enslavement of everyone else. And if you look at these Middle Eastern religions and the people that are doing harm around the world, you'll see it. I would love for everyone to get along with Christians. I would love for everyone to assimilate into our culture and our country, just as I would have to assimilate if I moved to Sudan, or I moved to Libya, or I moved to Lebanon. I wouldn't look at it like it's my country and I'm going to do what I want and you have to accept me the way I am. And no, of course not. I would expect to be either thrown in jail or get the living shit beat out of me, or both. In any event, before I pass from this world, I'm expecting to see some very interesting shit happen. Woo! Okay, let's continue. Thank you, Pure Blood. Mr. Uman, where do we go next? Let's have some more fun. We've got Letensella back in. I'm thinking that we are in a sorry state. Back to basics. Look at the 10 Commandments. Use your own critical thinking. Don't believe propaganda about pressure to comply with everything that you, or anything that you hear, see, whatever. And folks, I don't want everyone to believe me, just because I say so. Look this shit up. They are not hiding anything anymore from us. They're in our faces with it. In fact, the United States of Washington, D.C. are making enemies, not allies, because of what they're doing in the Middle East, attacking Iran, pissing off the oil-producing nations, and assisting Israel in its Greater Israel project, which is to take over the Middle East and call it all Israel, but use Marines. There are thousands of Marine Expeditionary Forces being shipped over there. Who knows how many other units and special forces, Army, Marines, Navy, even Air Force, right, that are going over that they're not telling us about. They're making enemies in the world, not allies. And now, folks, France and Italy are openly and also aggressively seeking, not war, but to make a deal with Iran. Because what do they want to do? They want to, they want safeguard shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. They want oil and supplies and goods to come from China, from the Middle East, go through the Strait of Hormuz and into Europe. Right? Now, if Iran does this, if they make a deal with France and Italy and other various nations, those nations are going to have to permanently abandon allegiance to Israel and permanently abandon allegiance to Washington, D.C. Otherwise, I don't see Iran trusting them and giving in to them ever, because they're tired of being stabbed in the back and attacked, right? But if let's just say that Italy and France made a deal with Iran, and they're like, okay, we'll let your ships through, and then they betray Iran, they're going to be attacked without mercy. Western arrogance. Western arrogance is leading Israel, it's leading Washington, D.C., and any of their allies that are left to make grievous errors regarding Iran's technological and military advancements and their preparation for what is right now happening. They've also made allies with China and Russia for supply of fuel, resupply of munitions, support. In warfare, folks, go to war college, study it, study your Sun Tzu, everything. Never underestimate the enemy. Fight like hell, yes, but never underestimate your enemy. Woo! I tell you. Okay. Doug Bauer's giving me some Scotch advice to buy a 3-year Scotch for $17. House of Stewart Scotch. I couldn't do a 3-year Scotch, man. I'm spoiled. You guys have been buying me 15 and 18-year Scotch with Sunday super chats to support the channel. I couldn't go back, man. All right, Mr. Uman. I don't want to end the show. I know it's a little long. I missed yesterday. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Ted Cruz, Senator fucking Ted Cruz, that piece of shit, said using the phrase, ready for this? Christ is King, which is right there in the New Testament. Christ is King. Jesus Christ is King. Using words similar to that, or those exact words, stating that Jesus Christ is King. Well, hell, even before he was crucified, there was a sign made. It was put above his head. It said, King of the Jews. King of the Jews, right? Ted Cruz, United States Senator, pretends to be a Christian, is saying that if you say Christ is King, that is anti-Semitic, and it is being done intentionally. And he says, well, when you hear people say that, you know what they mean is they hate Jews, and they hate Israelis, and they hate Israel, and they're going to be violent, and they're anti-Semitic, and they're KKK, and they're white supremacists, and they're Nazis, and they're Hitler. You know, this fucking guy is a clown. He truly is a clown. Fuck Ted Cruz. He said that he took office and he's there to serve Israel. He's a piece of shit. As far as I'm concerned, that's traitorous. It's complete treason. Fuck Ted Cruz. Eye patch McCain. We're going to have a hell of a time getting these pro-Israeli / anti-Americans out of office because they fucking lie. What there needs to be is a law that says if you say anything unconstitutional, you forfeit your office. If you support any other country without saying I am American first, you should be thrown out of office. But you know, they won't even allow their sexual predators in Congress to be exposed so all of us can see who they are and how much money we have had to pay to cover for their sexual fucking crimes. I'm not even talking about the Epstein files. In fact, I think the first time I've mentioned Epstein is just now. Ooh, man, that's how much shit has been going on. Epstein files matter. They're still out there. It's still going. More is being revealed. Push Congress to expose these fucking people. We need arrests. We need prosecutions. And we need people swinging from the gallows, swinging from a fucking yard arm, or standing in front of a firing squad. Woo! Treason is not to be tolerated or allowed. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Uman. Big Dan the Man is still at work, he says. Oliver, is there anything else you want to say, or you think anyone else needs to say before we conclude tonight's broadcast? And we will be back Sunday night live. I'm telling you, I want everyone ready for that, and we will resort. Norse edition. That's correct. Thank you. We will resume standard super chat donations. Get on the screen for Sunday Night Live. Friday, it's a surprise. I know. Surprise! We're all getting surprised by what's going on. We're surprised that even though we've got the Strait of Hormuz shut down, we've got refineries being bombed, we have no ships going through the Strait of Hormuz, right? No ships are being shipped with oil. They're not going around Africa. They're not going the other way. They're just parked. All of the oil tanks are filled in the oil-producing countries, and now they're shutting down the oil fields. They can't put the oil anywhere, so why pump it? When you shut down a well, starting them back up is not as simple as flicking a light switch. Not even remotely fucking close. We're going to have disruption after disruption after disruption. Yet, the oil price is below $100. And even though we're at war and facing false flags imminently, threats of nuclear annihilation, gold and silver have dropped precipitously today. My recommendation for myself is, if you have any money, buy physical gold and silver. Get it shipped to you so you hold it in your hands. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. If you are willing to risk the Wall Street move, my recommendation is buy silver miners for myself. This is my recommendation for myself. If I had money in the stock market, buy silver miners. Most notably, First Majestic and Hecla. And I think I've even said that to Uman. If I had money, that's where I'd put it. Doug Bauer is really pushing the House of... come on, John. House of Stuart Scotch. He says it's like Glen Farkless. I've had a 21-year bottle of Glen Farkless. I don't know if I can do a 3-year bottle. Anyways, yeah, they're doing some stupid shit, folks, in the stock market. They're trying to keep the oil price down, which keeps the gas price down at the pump. It's not going to work for long. I think if they're going to do silver coins and bars, yes, Alan Meyer Jensen, we're going to see a false flag. They're going to need to somehow get the United States of America to commit its fighting forces to a boots on the ground, violent, face-to-face kinetic war with these motherfuckers in Iran if Israel thinks it's going to win. If they don't do that, Iran is going to hold off, at the very worst, a stalemate. At the very best for Iran is they just smother and destroy Israel. It's illegal to send any pictures or videos or reports out of Israel describing the amount of destruction going on there. Media control. They want to control the narrative, and they don't want to show how badly they're defeated. Netanyahu, some people are claiming, is dead. I don't know why or how, unless he went back to Israel and landed in Israel and then was struck. I don't know. Don't know, folks. I can't even speculate. In any event, I got my updates from Lance, so don't know. Anyways, buy aged Scotch, silver, and gold. That is great advice. Silver is manipulated. It's being held down. Oil is now manipulated and being held down, even though the price is trickling up. We have market fraud everywhere. This is no longer a free market. They're using the term to describe what they're doing with oil, gold, silver, GameStop, all stocks. They're trying to say they're managed. No, that's manipulation. That's not free market. That's socialism. That's communism. To use the government to control markets, to control prices, to control valuation, to control sentiment. It's a form of propaganda. And it's enriching the rich and it's impoverishing the average American who's got a 401k or a pension or an IRA, etc. Free Marxism. That's fucking funny. Courageous Cat is calling our stock market free Marxism. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Uman, for putting the silver and gold up there at the closing. Still above 80. Still above 5,000. I have no doubts that once they finally break the market, this will stop being worth $80.64 in America, and it's going to be worth somewhere between $200 and $500 an ounce sometime in the next, I don't know, month to 6 months. While I'm the prophet of prepping, I'm not the prognosticator of the valuation, at least with the date on it. I just know where it's going. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Understand who wants you dead. Understand who wants you to live well. Understand who wants to protect you. Understand who wants you compromised. It just comes down to knowing your enemy and know thyself. God bless America. Semper Fi means always faithful. I'll be back Sunday Night Live with you guys, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, be safe, be well, get educated, get prepared.